Hello everyone, welcome to the Redmen TV. What you're about to watch is a free edition of our very special 7-part series known as Building the Ultimate Liverpool Team. We work from goalkeeper all the way through to manager, picking the best attributes from the best people we've had in the Premier League era to build, as we say, the Ultimate Liverpool Team. This is a free episode. If you enjoy the full series, you can check it out now for a free first month on the redmentv.com.
Hello, welcome to the Redmen TV. I'm Steve Hoare, he's Chris Pajak, and over there's Aubrey Reynolds. Back for the latest edition of our Super Building Liverpool Player series. And we're
looking forward to this one, Steve.
It's probably the most difficult in a good way.
The funnest one, though, I reckon.
It's gonna be intriguing. We're doing strikers. Dead quick for those who haven't seen the show before. A, why not? There's loads. Go back and watch them. B, basically, so we come up with different categories that make the perfect striker or the perfect midfielder, blah, blah, blah. And we assign any Liverpool player from the Premier League era into those categories with a caveat that only one player can go into each one. And I've used the example all the time. For this show, we would just say Suarez if we could, but we can't. He can only fit into one. So we've done goalies, full-backs, centre-backs, centre-midfielders, and wingers/10s. So now we're up to strikers, and like I say, this is going to be the most fun one, I think, because we've had a lot of good Premier League strikers over the years. And upstairs we had a bit of debating already about it, a little bit of chatting, and it's going to be tough. So, without further ado, Chris, we decided to change finishing on the other categories. We've had two. We've had just shooting, basically. We've done in-the-box finishing and out-the-box or long-range finishing. So if we do in-the-box first, we've had... I mean, if you want, without even looking at the categories, if we just name some names very quickly and say...
For in-the-box finishing?
In-the-box finishing, yeah.
I mean, the one that automatically springs to my mind, when you say finishing, you say a Premier League striker for Liverpool, is Robbie Fowler. You know, my favourite player growing up as a kid in the Premier League era. I think if you're a little bit, if you're 5-8 years younger than me, you probably wouldn't jump at Fowler. There might be someone like a Sturridge, a Suarez, a Torres that you'd potentially put into that category. But staying with the sort of early theme, I don't want to tread too much on what you think as well, Orb, is that for me, Fowler and Rush and Owen in the early Premier League days were just tremendous at finishing in the box. I mean, Ian Rush played for us in both the First Division and the Premier League. His powers were on the wane a little bit in the Premier League, but as pure finishing, I don't think his finishing really was on the wane. I think, his pace had gone a little bit. I think his link-up play was still really good, but as far as finishing goes, Rush was just superb.
Is it in the Premier League, his ability to get into the places, which isn't finishing, it's pace, it's work rate, it's movement or whatever, was on the wane, whereas finishing was still as good as ever, possibly even better, because he got craftier and
I think when you do get older, I don't think that ever leaves you, does it?
No.
I mean, you look at even Robbie Fowler in his Man City days, he still scored goals. When the ball was at his feet inside the penalty area, he could still finish the ball.
Yeah.
I think that's what proves the Rush thing.
Even Owen at Newcastle, when he was on his arse, if a chance fell to him, he scored it. It was just the staying on the pitch and getting in the positions. But even if you watch these Legends games now, I know you even played them on recently, they don't lose it.
Well, he can't really link up Fowler that well, to be honest with you.
His
link-up play definitely gone. I don't know if it was refused. I don't think he had the skills to hit me, to be honest. I was in miles of space.
That's probably what it was. He's probably thought, what, I don't want to embarrass myself by giving that lad the ball. He's going to do 10.
I think he was worried.
Go round 10.
Worried about his place in the Legends team.
He was, yeah. He's going to go round 10 and here's me with my little fat belly. I don't want to be doing this.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
fat
what,
bastard, Robbie Fowler.
That's exactly.
To me.
That's exactly what's happened there. We'll go with that.
That's how I choose to remember.
You've gone old, not old, but early Premier League to mid 2000s, and obviously we might as well talk Luis Suarez now. And like I say, we might not mention him every category because it might be stupid. We waste our time, but he probably fits into all of these categories, and he's probably in all but one of them, probably or maybe two, the best at them all.
Yeah.
So he's probably the best finisher.
I think that's the way to go about this one. I think the Suarez question should be debated first. Where are we going to put Suarez? Because I think if we could use multiple players for every attribute, I would put Suarez in every one other than pace,
and then you'd
throw maybe heading,
possibly heading, but you could make an argument for his heading because he scored.
But I think we
can
make an argument that there are better headers
of
of the ball.
And you can make an argument that it doesn't even need to make an argument. It's categorically stated they were faster strikers than him. Every other position, he was probably the best.
Yeah.
So we need to figure out where we're using him. and then fit in around that.
Well, the problem is, though, if we were to do that, we're going to have to talk each through anyway.
Okay.
In a certain way, because, for example, I'll pick dribbling.
Yeah.
I actually think that maybe Suarez was the best dribbler striker that we've had. Potentially.
Yeah.
Him and Torres, for me, were two of the best anyway. What's he better at? What's there a golfing class between?
Yeah.
See, if I was
Because
doing
finishing...
if I was doing the golfing class, I'd go long range finishing. I don't think any of the strikers you mentioned were as good from outside the box or distance than Suarez. I think Sturridge is good from outside the box. It helps, with his low backlift, and he drills them in and stuff. Collymore could shoot from outside the box. Obviously, we remember the Chef Wed goal and
Fowler
stuff.
could shoot from outside the box.
Yeah.
Even Torres scored a few worldies.
Collymore could shoot from outside the box.
But I think Suarez is on another level than all of them in terms of that. He would score for fun from outside the box. Like, he scored from the halfway line.
Yeah.
Or, he'd do mad...
volleys and chips.
And his work rate's amazing, but
He
I think you could... There's people who worked hard. His dribbling's amazing. I think that's another one where he's a standout. Yeah. But if it was me, if I had to nail him onto one, I think
This is very similar to our old non-Luis Suarez man of the match thing that we had going for a couple of years.
I'd go long range because I thought
the two that I had him in contention for, because I think there's a golfing class, and actually I'm coming around to what you're saying, was I had him down for movement, because I think there's players whose single attributes, he was an amazing top player in all those, but if you've got to steal one attribute from them, you can go and take pace from a Cisse. You wouldn't put him in any other category. You could put a heading for for Carroll, couldn't you? Whereas I think the golfing class on movement is massive. There's other attributes that are good, but actually you've just made them massively convincing.
You just score for
I don't want to waste Suarez on movement as well. I want to have him in a sexy category.
I'd like to have
long
him
range finishing means that I'm going to remember him. I've just downloaded.
You put his numbers there, Chris. What is it? Goals, Premier League goals to games.
Yeah, so
Suarez.
Suarez was 69 goals and 110 Premier League games.
So you're talking
69 Premier League goals and 110 Premier League.
So it's better than 1 and 2. You might as well use that on a lad who's. You might as well get your striker to put the ball in the back of the net.
Yeah. I think
as good as all the other stuff is, I think if I could say nail Suarez onto long range, and he's going to score me 20 goals.
And it takes Suarez out of the equation. And that's
every other category.
It's not going to make me as sad that we have to mention his name and how good he was.
I still disagree on the long range. I think there's players that it's dependent on maybe inbox finishing, because...
Well, let's just pencil him in there and we can shift it round later.
Okay. We'll pencil Suarez into long-range finishing.
Okay. Just because what we don't want, and I don't want to bore people watching, is every category talk about Luis Suarez. Because we know we've all seen how fucking amazing he is. He's amazing. We all get it. He's the best. He's one of the best I've ever seen. So that's where I would put him if I had to. But if we go, we've kind of done inbox. If we do heading, this is interesting because this is one where you might be able to get away with a lesser player in terms of. Listen, Fernando Torres was great in the air. Fowler was decent enough with headers in terms of. But then here's where you can talk about Andy Carroll, because for as shit a career in the whole as he had, he did score headers. He scored a header in a FA Cup to knock Everton out, which is amazing. He could do it. I don't think Crouch was good in the air. He's big, wasn't. So I wouldn't put him in it. But
target man. I think it's strangely the list I wrote down. We've had shorter players who were great in the air more than our target men. Yeah. Carroll, he's got to go on the list because what else does he do? He's a menace in the box and he heads. But actually, you think about the amount of headed chances he missed and the amount of headed chances that, he might have scored them, but his whole game plan was about the game plan for us was about getting him headed chances. He's still only got, what were his stats?
6 goals.
6 goals in the Premier League. So that's probably...
A maximum of 6
A maximum of 6 headers, and I know for a fact that I can remember 2 of them that were shots. So they weren't, do you know what I mean? Whereas you look at Karl-Heinz Riedler, Fowler, Suarez, Torres, who you wouldn't instantly go, they were great headers of the ball, and then you remember back, and they fucking scored spectacular goals with the head. I remember there was a Fowler header against Newcastle, years ago. I can't remember the year, but I've just got the memory of it. It wasn't. It was Derby County, and it was one of those where they'd come to Anfield and they were just going to stig a 0-0, and it was outside the box, and he bulleted a dive and had a top in, and you're like, from a little man outside the box to generate that power. Again, we said we're not going to mention it, but Luis Suarez against West Brom at home, that header's the most insane header I've ever seen, and he's not going in heading because there are. But ultimately, I think for some strange reason, you actually look at the categories of play and the identity of Liverpool Football Club in the Premier League era. Whenever we've tried to buy a tall target man, it doesn't really work.
What are your thoughts on Heskey in the air?
Heskey was good in the air. I think there's a few people that we've not mentioned. I agree. Karl-Heinz Riedler for me was a really great header of the ball. I think Fernando Morientes was a great header of the ball. Didn't really do it at Liverpool. I would kind of go the other way though, and I'll tell you why. Andy Carroll for me is the best header of the ball.
Okay.
Right. Full stop. I don't think anyone, and I'm not looking at Andy Carroll in his Liverpool career, because I think we established last week that we didn't have the best crosses of the ball at the club over the Premier League years, never mind when Andy Carroll was there.
Yeah.
I think if you were to pick heading purely on
The ability
to head the ball, for me, there's no one as good as Andy Carroll on there. I agree, Michael Owen was great in the air, but I seem to remember that more at Manchester United and Newcastle than I do at Liverpool, to be honest with you. I think Michael Owen's Liverpool was all about running in behind and creating space in the box and he would pick up a few headers here and there. I would go with Andy Carroll because he is the best.
And we mentioned in the show, it's what he's done for Liverpool, but I don't think he's ever lost his ability. The ability was always there, he just very rarely got a chance to use it because our crosses weren't great, but when he did get a chance, he did, like say, FA Cup semi-final, scored a header.
Important headers.
He could do it, and
he scored, was it a header that he scored in the
City,
final?
I think he scored against...
What was the goal against Chelsea in the final?
No, it was the one where he...
2-1.
I think he hit the bar as well, didn't he? So
yeah.
I think I would like to go Carroll, I think, just because he like I say, it's based on Premier League at Liverpool, which he did have that ability. It was just hard for him to show it. So I think I would go along with that. Or would you?
Yeah, again, I think what we're going to find is if we use Carroll here, there's going to be a really, really good Premier League striker who's not getting used. So at the end, when we do our little review, we might actually swap someone in, because I had that earmarked for Fowler, because elsewhere other attributes were being used. I think it's hard.
Do you actually think Fowler's a better head of the ball than Andy Carroll?
For Liverpool Football Club, yeah.
It's a fair play.
He was.
Yeah, maybe.
I think he probably scored more headed goals than Andy Carroll. I think he was. I think I
just prefer that type of.
No, that's fine.
That type of headed goal as well.
Like being genuine. Do you actually think he's a better head of the ball than Andy Carroll is?
Yeah, I do.
That's fair enough.
That's fair enough then. Yeah.
If we go to movement, in my head, the first thing I think of for movement is Fernando Torres.
Yeah.
Off the shoulder, Steven Gerrard playing him in, balls across the box, it was always on. It always felt Torres. Last minute goals, crosses at Portsmouth, it forced to Fernando Torres. Not by accident. Chelsea at home, late goal, it forced to Fernando Torres. Even like United away the 4-1, it's him and getting round in about Vidic. Vidic shit his kicks basically, because Fernando Torres' movement was amazing.
He was a nightmare.
Players didn't know where he was.
I remember he broke it down on Match of the Day. I think he scored a hat-trick against Middlesbrough at home. And they showed you his set-piece movement. And it was Alan Shearer was just creaming. And he was basically just saying, watch this. This is just incredible. This is the very, very top striker play. And he's standing there in the box and he's got the Middlesbrough defender. And then he moves that way and he just drifts. The defender goes with him. And then he walks back. And then he walks him a bit further. And then he walks back, and then he walks him a bit further, and then fucking runs, because he knows he's so much faster than that defender, and he runs that way, and the ball comes across to him, and he just puts a header into he leaves far post to the near post. But it's all that trickery, and that comes under movement, because that's him moving to gain space, to bamboozle a defender.
Do you remember the United goal, when he basically puts Ferdinand on his arse and hammers it in? The pass from Ben Ayew is a great pass, but it's Torres's bend and run, and he knows he's fast, which helps. It's a bloody big pace again we're going to get to. He went super quick, but he was quicker than most defenders, and he was so clever. He always had the yard, even against defenders who were, Ferdinand's not slow. Even against defenders who you think he could have a chance of catching him, he never did, because he was just a yard ahead of them all the time. And as great, his finishing was amazing, don't get me wrong, and everything about him, but I thought was what made him special compared to most Liverpool players I've seen.
I agree. I think he's the first.
Is that he just always seemed to, A, the ball always was where he wanted to be, doesn't have accidents, and B, them through balls, it was him getting on the end of them, and it was just unbelievable.
And there's a difference, because you could argue, like I wrote in there, Suarez, obviously, Owen, Torres and Sturridge. And I think, to exemplify your point, when Owen was young, and you think of your typical Liverpool Owen goal,
Counter-attack over the top.
Jamie Redknapp getting the ball over the top from our own half, and he just beat fuckers for pace. And then you've got like Sturridge, kind of is similar at times, you know, the Coutinho through ball, and he just beats them, but it's a straight line. I've just burnt you for pace. And that's more pace than movement, whereas Torres had just a little bit less pace, and he had to have that intelligence to actually gain himself that space, or to cut round, like you say, Bender's run. So he started offside, he ran in to be onside, and then he picks it up and he beats them. So yeah, you've convinced me on Torres for that one. I think that's quite an easy one.
I had Torres down as movements anyway.
There we go.
I mean, for me, and it's not as much. It's weird because his movements is amazing, but it's when he doesn't move as well.
That's
and
what
I think when you stay still, you look at the best player for me right now is a midfielder, and I fucking hate him. Frank Lampard has probably got for me the best movements in the world.
By standing still.
And he gets into positions
and
not moves.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. And Torres had that as well. And I think I had Fowler down as movements as well, and Suarez, I went Rush, Sturridge and Anelka. But Fowler's movement was nowhere near as good as Torres. But what Fowler had that I think was better than Torres was his finishing and his ability to finish. Even when the ball's slightly out of position, he'd use his unorthodox finishing techniques because he wasn't quite there. Never happened for Torres. The ball was, as you said, always where he wanted it to be. So I think that's the first one we can truly nail on.
Yeah,
we all
definitely.
agree on it.
He was outstanding. Outstanding. It's a shame that it ended a bit crap.
Yeah.
But he was outstanding. He was
Yeah.
just unbelievable. He was that. In recent years, in terms of having fun watching players, Luis Suarez is the most fun I'll ever have. If anyone can ever make me laugh as much as Luis Suarez did, then I'll be happy. Torres was a close second because I used to go to the game knowing he was going to score.
Yeah.
And that's a...
Torres was an incredible starter for the main that became Luis Suarez in that period where, and I hadn't really experienced that for a while, and I don't think Liverpool fans had, where
Post-Owen.
we'd won stuff, but you had genuine enjoyment from some absolute incredibly good.
He was our first, other than Steve Gerrard, I think he was our first world superstar player for a while. He was probably the best striker in the world.
For an 18-month period, definitely. That second year at Liverpool, first year, halfway through his second year, and when he went away with Spain, when he went away with Spain, and like he won World Cups and stuff, he was just electrifying, and he was incredible. And yeah, I'm happy with movement.
The next one then is going to be...
He could have gone into pace.
I was about to say, the next one I think is going to be... This is going to be more... What's the word? Matter of fact. It's going to be hard to know.
Yeah.
It's going to be hard to know who, who's the fact we've never seen him all race. But, okay, if you look at quick players, the first thing that comes into my head straight away is Cisse.
Yeah.
Because it's pretty much... That was his game. He was before he broke his leg, he was lightning. Michael Owen was lightning.
Anelka
was quick. Yeah, he was. Torres.
Sturridge isn't slow.
Bellamy as well.
And Craig Bellamy there.
Origi's fast.
And I'm about to say that last one is probably Divock Origi. The only way to do pace really is if you say, put them all halfway line, tell them to run to the edge of the box, who gets there first.
Cisse pre-leg break at that age would have been him. I think it would have been.
I would say Owen.
Lightning.
Young.
I think 17, 18
Owen.
I don't think anyone gets near that.
No.
Yeah.
Okay, can I just... It's technically probably stealing an attribute from dribbling, but there's pace without the ball, and then there's pace with the ball.
I'm going to do pace. This is without. This
Is
is
just
because
pure
dribbling.
pace
Pace with the ball. We're going to count on dribbling.
God, it's close, isn't it?
It's
Cisse
gotta
and
be.
Owen.
It's
I'd
a
rather
gut-
have
it's a
Owen
gut-
in
it's
our
a gut
perfect
thing.
team than Cisse, though, because I think, despite the fact that he's a Judas cunt, and he shouted at me for using all his milk once, I think he was a better Liverpool legend, and we've got... This isn't fullbacks. This isn't goalkeepers, definitely. This isn't wingers, where you've got to have someone who's a cult hero or someone who isn't even that good on that board. I want 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8. I want 8 players that we all think affectionately of as strikers because we've had that many good
I
Premiership
think
strikers.
young Michael Owen, I'd say 18 to 20, just before the first massive hamstring.
Yeah.
He was.
I don't think there's anyone.
He was rapid.
Yeah,
I think Cisse's close.
Yeah.
I do. And
Around about 98.
And Origi's lightning.
Yeah.
He's fast as well. But yeah, I think I would. The only problem is we're not going to use Owen anywhere else. I don't think
so. No, I haven't.
Which is mad because he's amazing. By the way, he's fucking brilliant.
I haven't got him down anywhere else.
So I think I'd have Mia just because I think he deserves to be on. It might be a bit of
Yeah,
you're right.
No, let's do it.
It might be a bit of a funny way of doing it, but he does. As much as people down.
Oh,
Peace.
He's good in the air, if we went that good. Now work rate. Again, it's Luis Suarez.
Yeah.
It just is.
So you're going to explain the mechanic of the show as well, because Danny Ings would have come into this, I reckon.
Yeah,
at least into contention.
The cut-off was 10 appearances,
Yeah.
10 Premier League appearances. So yeah, Danny Ings will be close. Luis Suarez still works harder than him. And for those asking, we used Dirk out last week because we used him as an attacking midfield / winger. So
Craig Bellamy.
Craig Bellamy.
Bellamy and Suarez for me,
Yeah.
and I think that
We're going to use Suarez
don't
I'm
wanna
going to
elsewhere.
use Suarez
Suarez.
somewhere else. I
Yeah.
really do.
I think that just answers it, doesn't it? Again, that's not to say there's players in there who worked hard, but it's not what you imagine as work rate. I think Peter Crouch worked hard in the game.
Emileski got a time, but then at
Heskey.
times he looked like he couldn't give a toss. And then,
Yeah.
you know, someone like the antithesis would be Mario. Mario's not getting
Yeah.
it. But Neil Mellor worked his arse off. And I was just...
Hey, Milan Barros worked his arse
Neil
off
Barros
as well.
ran all
He
day.
was one of those
Yeah.
first strikers that we had that used to do that high press and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah.
There's a few of them, but as far as standout attributes for an individual, I
Yeah.
think there's probably 3 for Liverpool in the last few years. Dirk out we've already used in midfielders, and I think Suarez and Bellamy.
Yeah. Where you can see that they've
epitomise what
yeah.
we're talking
where you
about.
can see they've worked the defence to death. It's not just through sheer and Suarez had every attribute, so it was skill as well. But you just, I remember, again, it's Suarez example. We're not going to use him, but the 6-3 against Cardiff, where the last goal, the 6-1, is in the 92nd minute, and he runs from the halfway line to hassle that fucking right back to make a mistake.
And then doesn't pass to Sterling.
And then doesn't pass to Sterling, like, takes it for the hat-trick, doesn't he? But it's that thing of like, and Bellamy did it as well. There was games where you look back around about that time when...
But remember, was it City when he came back and stuff, and he just ran himself into the ground, literally ran himself into the ground, and the next game he couldn't play, but...
Chelsea the same.
Chelsea away in the semi when like Gary Speed had just been found like dead, and they something wrong had happened about Chelsea fans, or Chelsea like something around there really wound him up in that game. He was everywhere. I was watching it on TV, and he's just picked that ball up left wing and passed it to himself on the right wing, and that's technically impossible.
I think
I'd stick Bellamy in.
I would. You know what annoys me? You know what I wanted this to be? I wanted to be sitting here now after one season, and I wanted that to be Christian Benteke.
Yeah. Work rate.
Yeah.
Just absolutely work the
Because
hard.
I remember him for Villa, and maybe it was just like
Yeah.
match of Dayness, but I used to remember him working hard, but
Yeah.
it hasn't happened.
That's
for
a
us.
shame, actually, just to drop that in there. We've not mentioned him once. And after paying 32 million for him, and what he was at Aston Villa, and it's not really
He might
his
get brought up.
completely.
He might get brought up in link up. I think he's a decent link up player.
But he should have been mentioned in heading, movement, work rate. You know what I mean? And he hasn't, and he just hasn't impressed, has he? And that's why he looks like he's going to be out the door.
It's a shame. So dribbling again, Suarez. Torres is an option.
Sturridge.
And now we haven't mentioned much about Dan Sturridge. And it's weird because we as a fan base, Dan Sturridge's goal record is amazing.
Unbelievable.
He's fantastic. He's such a good player. And yet when you talk about people about great Liverpool players, sometimes he can almost be forgotten. And it's a bit like you don't appreciate what you've got kind of thing.
Yeah.
Dan Sturridge is amazing.
43 and 69 in the Premier League. That's absolutely insane.
He's such a good player, and I think he's a great dribbler. I think he's so hard. He wins so many fouls because people can't get the ball off him.
Yeah.
And he does it slow.
Yeah.
Which is hard. I think if you run at someone lightning quick and beat them, it's a bit physical. He doesn't run at people.
It's skill, it's guile.
It's dropping the shoulder, and
Yeah.
he can stand you still and go past you. And
Yeah.
I think he's amazing. And
Where else would you use him?
finishing, he could
Potentially.
be
in either of the finishing.
and he
Decent link-up play
and
as
his
well.
link-up
Could have been in
play as well.
pace.
Yeah.
You know, he was one of them. But now we're probably tainted by a little bit because we've seen him post injury.
You think when he first joined us?
When he first joined us, he was absolutely lightning,
Yeah.
wasn't he?
I'd like to get him on. I'd like to get him in my team, and if we don't
He
think
has
he's
to be
getting in
on
the
the
top
board.
two, then we're not sure. We might get him on link up.
Can I make a suggestion?
You can.
Can we do link up play next? Because I think
Yeah.
dribbling, inbox, and long range finishing are all and heading are all going to be interlinked.
Yeah. Okay,
I
so
think
let's
there's a
go to
lot
let's
more
move on to
crossover.
link up.
Okay, your link up
yeah.
players. So your link up players.
I'm going to start with 2 random shouts for this. I'm going to start with Emile Heskey.
Yeah.
Because him and Michael Owen both scored between them 30 plus goals in 3 seasons on the bounce,
And
proving that they had an incredible partnership.
And they also
that's-
took that into England as well.
Well,
like
you remember the
that
5-1
partnership.
at Germany and
Yeah.
stuff like that. But those 3 seasons where they all scored more than 30 goals between them, that was in an era of the Premier League where Michael Owen was considered the best in the Premier League, or one of, and he was getting 18 goals. So you've got to remember what type of Premier League they're playing in as well.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't until probably when Shearer left and Andy Cole had sort of died out a little bit,
it dropped down from
It
30
dropped
a season
down
to 20.
big time.
Under 20 a season was still good,
Owen
wasn't it?
scored the most in a Premier League season with 18 one
Yeah.
year, I remember, and then it wasn't until probably
Ronaldo.
Henry came in.
I don't think Henry got close to 30. Only because the other day when they were talking about Ronaldo, it was on BBC and they were talking about how good Ronaldo was, and Henry made this point. He had Shearer, company and himself. And he said, this is how you can explain how good Cristiano Ronaldo is. You take my best ever Premier League goal return, you add it to his best ever Premier League goal return, and you add it to his, and that's what you get from Cristiano Ronaldo. So he was saying 20 from me, 30 from Shearer, 4 from company. You get 50, 55.
Wow. So that sort of proves the point, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So I think
it was an
era
more
when,
defensive era, wasn't it?
exactly, in that type of an era, 30 goals as a partnership was incredible. I think if you fast forward to 13-14 and you look at what Sturridge and Suarez did, that's probably the best partnership we've had in the Premier League for sheer amount of goals and assists each as well. But I'm going to throw in, I think it was the 96 season with Collymore. And Fowler. And I think it was their first full season together. I'm not sure exactly on the year. 42 goals between them.
Wow.
Right, and that's something that but judging by your faces, you didn't realise.
No.
That's how good they were. When he signed for £8.5 million from Nottingham Forest, they instantly built up a rapport.
And it was probably 30 to Fowler and 12 to Collymore, but still,
the only
strike partnership needs to allow them, and link-up play doesn't have to be the assist. It
can be creating
space. It's the movement out the box.
The only issue with Stan is he often ended up getting pushed out wide, didn't he? He wasn't always doing it as a striker. He was often found himself on the left, which was a shame. But yeah, it's hard to argue. And again,
Peter
Crouch. He was what you've just talked away at me more. Crouch, in terms of chesting the ball down and laying it off and going, or getting someone else to go was as good as anything. And I'm not going to say good feet for the big one. He just had good feet non-stop. Yeah. He wasn't great in the air. He was a good finisher, but I thought he was great link up. And he was the one I was thinking about using. It's just that you could hit him on the chest and he'd bring it down and he'd play your mate and he'd play it in, and then someone else would go. So it wouldn't have to be. It wouldn't be a direct assist, but he would help. And again, at his feet, he was a clever footballer. He could play passes. He wasn't a donkey like I would say Andy Carroll kind of was for us at times. Crouch wasn't that. He was a very clever player as well, and he was what I thought of, other than the obvious Suarez, Torres, Sturridge, Fowler, Owen. I would go, if it was me, I think I would give it to Crouch if I could, but I could easily be, it's not as nailed on as I would like it to be for others.
Crouch and Heskey are that I'm flip flopping between, and I'm trying to think in my head now. Crouch as strike partner was Bellamy.
I don't think he ever struck up a partnership.
Yeah. He never, because he was on it. Well, Rafa played on his own.
Yeah, but whereas Heskey had Owen as his foil, so is that naturally skewing it towards Heskey because he had another great striker, whereas it's Crouch boss because he was playing with Gerrard coming from deep and Bellamy on the wing, or
and Benayoun.
I think the other thing is, look, when Crouchy was in that side and he was playing up top on his own, we didn't do as well as when we had Torres, and that's partly down to the fact that Torres, even with his linked up better. He linked up better with Gerrard than Crouchy did with Gerrard.
Yeah, they did, yeah.
And to be fair, I've got a massive affection for Emile Heskey. I remember that was when I really got into Liverpool Football Club, and that treble-winning season was the first time I'd really remember us actually winning silverware and being great. He was a massive part of that, and he was 4 great strikers at the club that time, wasn't he? He was like Jari Litmanen wasn't great, but he was a great individual performer. But you're looking at the rotation that we had with Owen, Fowler and Heskey, and Heskey had a partnership with, and he knew how to play both, because the way to link up with a Fowler is very different to how to link up with an Owen, and he could do that, whereas I don't think Crouch, nothing to do with Peter Crouch,
but when the players he had
to
around
do with the players around him and the type of team that we played.
I just very quickly again just let you know, Yari was on the last one as well.
Yeah,
we cast him as an attacker in the 10 because we thought it might be more chance of getting him in the team. But yeah,
I think Heskey.
Okay, yeah, I'm happy. If you listen, it's a flip flop, isn't it? So now we've got.
I think Crouch is unlucky, but yeah, Heskey definitely.
I think we're at a stage now, and I might be wrong, where Ian Rush isn't probably going to get on this team now.
And no.
Are we happy with that?
No, but I wasn't happy with it. He didn't make my team.
Didn't he? No. And you weren't happy with that. So who have we've got 4 positions to fill.
With
right, let's get them. We've got Sturridge.
Suarez.
We got Suarez.
Fowler.
Carroll.
And then someone for heading.
Carroll
and Rush.
and Rush.
Okay.
And
Who's the best dribbler out of them?
Suarez.
Okay. But he's also the best long-range finisher. And he's also pretty good at heading.
Who's the best in-box finisher out of
Robbie
them? It's
Fowler.
between Fowler and
For me,
Rush.
it's Fowler.
Okay, Fowler, there we go. It's a decision that's made.
Leave it there for now, yeah. We can do it at the end, can't you?
Right.
Yeah, it's
So that's that one done.
Can
So
I-
you've got
can I-
long-range finishing, heading,
I think
dribbling. So the next question to easily strip it down is, are we going with Carroll for heading because he's not getting anywhere else?
well, is Sturridge, Suarez or Rush better than Carroll for heading?
No.
Where's Owen?
He's on his
used it for
pace.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say go Carroll with as a header.
Yeah, because my only other argument was Fowler,
And then I've
we're
got-
using them elsewhere.
And then
So,
I would go Suarez long range and
Sturridge
Sturridge
dribbling.
dribbling.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Sozzy, and you're a legend. It was just a bit later in your career
Yeah.
when the Premier League come around. Would you go wrong with that? I can't have an argument for anyone else being long range than Suarez. I just can't.
No.
My-
I'm just
my
picturing
only
the
thing
goal.
is, I
Every
think-
goal he scored against Norwich is just now in my head, and I'm just like, yeah, there you go.
Every free kick he scores a long range shot.
My only issue is the dribbling one, and I think he's the third best dribbler. But I also think that the other two are on the board.
Yeah,
So-
yeah.
Who were the other? Torres and
Suarez.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I think
yeah.
by proxy,
By proxy, it's got to be
Yeah,
him.
yeah.
he is a great dribbler. Like
You
he
could
does
put-
lose the ball too much, but
Right, so we think we've got it.
So we'll go through it because there's an
fuck's
argument.
sakes.
There is an argument to be made.
As
there.
Chris wrecks the studio.
Next to Studio flashes his ass.
It's fine, mate. Oh, hello.
It's fucking coming down here.
What's the drink? What's the drinks?
Right.
That's made it even worse. Now I'm gonna have to stand up. Don't make me
Just
stand
to
up. Chris.
entertain.
Suarez. Pop Suarez in there. Where did I drop the other one to?
Oh crap!
Why did I do this?
It's Robbie Fowler somewhere.
Right. Get him an inbox finishing.
You're gonna have to put it up because we won't be able to reach it. It'll be embarrassing.
Yeah.
Don't want to embarrass him on telly. Wow. Okay.
So okay, the only. So there's an argument Fowler and Rush, isn't he?
Yeah,
For inbox.
and you could
And,
put.
and I don't think Fowler's getting anywhere else other than if you were to. My one, that's pretty much where I had, except I'd pull Carroll out, put Fowler in heading, and put Rush in inbox finishing. But I understand exactly what Chris is saying.
It's a shout.
That Carroll was, if you threw a ball into the box, Carroll would probably be the one who'd get the header most, just because he's so much taller than everyone. But I think for actual heading technique, Fowler's better than Carroll.
I love Ian Rush, and I do, and I think he's amazing. At that point in his career, he wasn't the Ian Rush that everyone knows, and
But he could still finish in the
it's
box.
hard. It's you know it's it shows that we've had good strikers because I think Peter Crouch could be on link-up play. Karl-Heinz Riedler could be on in the air. Divock Origi's
the
fast.
players that
Cissé's
were the
fast.
players
Tell you
that
what,
were
I'm gonna give you a reason why Robbie Fowler is the best inbox finisher, and there's a gulf in class there.
Okay.
Because it comes back to that argument again. Ian Rush, and I'm not talking just Premier League era now. Part of what made Ian Rush great was his movement and getting into those right positions. As far as just we talk about it, and commentators used to talk about it, natural finisher.
Yeah.
No,
Robbie Fowler could
he
hit
was
with
the
the
epitome.
inside, the outside,
Yeah.
the top of his boot, underneath his fucking boot, his knee, his calf, and his cock.
He just got it in.
And he just get it in which way he needed to.
I remember.
And
Cock,
that's why
really?
I remember all those goals he scored with his cock.
no one is getting near to Robbie Fowler on inbox finishing.
No. Okay,
So,
there we go.
I'm happy.
So the only other change that I'd suggest possibly is you swap Torres and Sturridge.
that
No,
What?
I would.
So you put Sturridge in for movement.
No, I'm
Torres in for dribbling.
Torres's movement's too good for that for me. I would if you said to me I would take Torres's movement with Sturridge's dribbling over Sturridge's movement with
reverse.
Torres's dribbling. I think what made Torres so good, and he was great with the ball, was how good he was without the ball.
Yeah,
That was his standout
Yeah, I'm
attribute for me.
it's the only other one that could be to
So-
potentially knock it up a
before
notch.
are we nailed on?
Do you know what? This is no, we're not nailed on. I think we are nailed on. But what's really interesting is you've just made an argument for two change of position. I think each of us could make an argument to change
every
of
one of them.
position.
Maybe it's a
for
couple
about
of- a
four
couple
of
of-
those
a
players.
couple of Luis Suarez
Fowler,
everywhere.
Suarez, Torres, Owen and Sturridge, you could argue that they go in different categories.
Exactly.
I think the way we've done it is quite analytical. We've gone through each one
And we've made
and we've made,
friggin'
I
good
think we've
striker.
made probably the best version of it.
Yeah. There's Anelka, Riedel, Rush, Cisse, Collymore, Benteke, Origi and Crouch. They're not being used. I think the only player on there that's not going to be remembered with massive affection by Liverpool fans in 10 years' time is Andy Carroll. I think everyone's going to be telling their kids and put stories in the pub about Robbie Fowler, Luis Suarez, Fernando Torres, Michael Owen, because we'll probably have forgiven him by then, Craig Bellamy, Daniel Sturridge and Emile Heskey. Because they gave us moments, they won things for us, and they were fucking scored fantastic goals.
Nailed it on.
You know what? You're spot on. And I'm going to add on to it. Andy Carroll did give me a moment. He gave me the semi-final against Everton.
Okay. I argued the other day that.
That's one of my favourite ever footballing memories.
I argued the
my
other day
brother was in
that
the
was
other
worth.
end and they lost.
It was worth about 25 million. And we got 16 back. So in theory, we got our money's worth.
Yeah.
For Andy Carroll. Ben Tehe got Villa relegated, and we're going to get 30 million quid back for him. So Villa kept beating us. So we've got.
There we go.
So great signing. That's my mind that way. So yeah, strikers is in the book. We've got the inbox finishing of Robbie Fowler, the long range finishing of Luis Suarez. This is making me smile already. the heading ability of Andy Carroll, the movement of Fernando Torres, the pace of a young Michael Owen, and we'll caveat that with pre-hamstring falling off. The work rate of Craig Bellamy. I'm also going to add in the gnarliness of Craig Bellamy as well.
I like it.
The dribbling and the sheer ability of beating men of Daniel Sturridge and keeping the ball, he's great at it. And Emile Heskey's link-up player, I can't argue with it. I think it's amazing striker. It's possibly the best.
I'm going to add on a category.
Go on.
Celebration.
Yeah, I was just thinking that.
Who had the best celebration?
I want a combination of them all. So they start off sniffing down the line, then they pretend to play golf and top it off with a bit of a dance.
But what about the
DJ?
What about the crouch going into the dance? Do you know what I mean?
And then a bit of DJing at the end.
That just sounds amazing to me.
It sounds like horrendous.
Can we do a celebration with all of those players?
I just don't know what Andy Carroll's celebration was. He can't like the arms out thing, didn't he?
Yeah,
he just the arms out.
Yeah,
he went to bumper until 4 a.m. That was his celebration.
with Kev Nolan's not on the board.
With like a bevy of like Scouse.
He just went an empty bumper.
What was Heskey's the DJ?
Yeah, Heskey's the
Sturridge
DJ.
is the dance, Bellamy the golf.
Owen did.
Torres does the
Owen did that, did he, when he scored his hat-trick? That's quite an
once.
iconic celebration.
And then Torres was the whole kiss his hand and do the guns.
Suarez tried to bite the camera like a shark against Chelsea, was it?
He did. And Fernando Torres had the whole different ones. It was usually him shouting very loud. Although I did like him putting on his name in front of the Real Madrid fans.
Yeah.
Or giving it a 5 at United.
If someone could make us a vine or a gif of all those celebrations mixed together, we would love you forever.
Yeah, that'd be
seriously, please. That would be amazing.
Amazing. You know what? I remember Stan Collingwood's celebration at Newcastle as well. The whole run down the sideline thing. Get them all on. Get them on. We won't pay you.
So, here you go then. Out of who's left, Anelka, Crouch, Riedler, Origi, Cisse, Collymore, Benteke, Rush. Is it Crouch's celebration?
Yeah.
Cisse did the flip.
Cisse's backflip.
Well, there's
Ian
a couple in there that are...
I like the Ian Rush's celebration. It was quite simple.
It's Cisse,
Ian
Crouch.
Rush just did it so many times it became legendary.
It's Cisse and Crouch, isn't it? Out of them.
And before we finish up, these are the most goals scored as well. So Robbie Fowler, Michael Owen, Luis Suarez, Fernando Torres, they're all on the board, aren't they?
Yeah.
And then it's Emile Heskey, Ian Rush.
He's on there.
Is the
Rush
next
isn't.
one off.
So Rush is the first to not be in there.
Which is fair. Yeah, so anyway, that's our striker.
I can't believe we're not putting Rush in.
It's mad, isn't it? That's what showed how good our Premier League strikers was.
Well.
It's all our fault. But Ian, if this was the late 80s, mid-80s striker, you'd have been on there nailed on.
Best Tash.
Yeah.
Best Tash, he's on. You're on for best Tash, Ian.
You're on the board, lad. Thanks, Ian.
Get in, Ian. Next week, we're going to do manager.
Yeah.
Premier League manager. We're going to round off the series. We've got our players now. We're going to do manager, which will be
Who's
fun.
going to lead them into
winning? And just for you guys at home, and whoever's going to be, whatever one of your lackeys is going to be printing stuff off, they can leave Roy Hodgson's name in the bin.
Yeah.
He isn't. I don't care what, unless there's a category for being a massive twat or rubbing your face. You're not getting on.
Interns, if you're watching this for any reason, that you've got time to sit down for an hour and watch this on our time, don't print it off and put it in the bin. Just don't print it off. It saves paper and ink.
The Amazon rainforest. Thank you in advance. So, yeah, that's our perfect striker for this week. And tune in next week when we'll be doing managers. I'll be here with some combination of two others. Maybe you, maybe Paul, maybe John, maybe someone else. Find out next week. See you later.
So there you have it. That is one of the 7-part series. If you want to watch the other 6 parts, you can in our exclusive subscriber playlist on the redmentv.com. Click the annotation, go across, start your 3-month trial and enjoy the rest of the series.